Welcome back to Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. So after that series of traps, especially the bridge, let's go back to Farah and see if we can proceed much smoothly.
Yep.
Speaking of smoothly, yeah, this looks better.
Of
Video
course,
issues, by
Farah,
the
you
way,
will.
audience.
Anyway, you were saying, Jova?
I was.
Yeah.
Well, I said alley-oop as we jumped across.
Oh, okay. I didn't understand that. Anyway, in order to raise that gate, we need to activate one of the levels back there. Unfortunately, on our way, we need to also to get rid of more birds. Again, they're more annoying than anything. You just need to wait the timing and everything. Also, for some reason, even when they die, they just leave that their scream, yeah, like that, even though they're dead. I guess.
So,
Go ahead, Wibbs.
so the Prince of Persia doesn't have a name in the game?
He doesn't have at all in the entire trilogy and quadrilogy.
Except for the film.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I guess in
Yeah,
the movie
staple.
calling him the, I guess in the movie calling someone the prince isn't
Or
all
just,
that.
well, just call him Prince would have been fine.
True, Prince can be an actual name.
Yeah,
Prince.
but in this case, as a nickname would have been just fine.
That too.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Bird.
Well, then again, you know, the fact the movie turned out pretty bad is isn't
an
that surprising?
indication,
Isn't that surprising considering one of the writers wrote the 1989 Punisher movie, and also Now You See Me.
Right.
That explains so much. And the other one, can't find it on the other one. Great Raid, Uninvited, Sorcerer's Apprentice, and The Great Wall.
With such a resume, what could possibly
Sorcerer's
go
Apprentice.
wrong?
I never got
Along
around to
with
seeing
Nicolas
that movie.
Cage.
I never got around to seeing that movie. How was it?
It's one of those movies where Nicolas Cage tries to play a serious role. Take a
Well,
look, yes,
it depends. Sometimes you can do a serious role.
Yeah, again, it depends. And as for the other guy,
Yeah, basically, I'm wondering, did Sorcerer's Apprentice turn out good?
It's mostly forgotten from what I've seen.
Yeah.
I guess that's not the worst thing. I
nothing
don't really
much,
recall there being a general reaction when that thing came out either.
Yeah, mostly because even the marketing wasn't that.
Well, it didn't do all that great at the box office.
Which is weird. You'd think Disney would have thought to market that better, seeing as how this is an adaptation of A Sorcerer's Apprentice.
That
There
was
we go.
before. That was before Disney finally realized how they should do their live-action remakes of their animated stuff.
Well, it's not so much the movie's quality itself, but the marketing too. I mean, again, from what I've heard, I haven't really heard anything bad about Sorcerer's Apprentice, but I do know that, yeah, the marketing wasn't bad, but was almost non-existent because of how little they talked about it, and which is weird because, again, this is based off of one of your biggest Mickey Mouse tales. Well, okay, admittedly the Mickey Mouse tale was also based off of a book or something, but you get what I mean. I mean, you'd think that they would have treated that with a little more diligence.
It's actually, well, Jova, as we say in Fantasia, it's the original composition actually came with its own tale incorporated. So
It did, yeah.
What's more baffling about the Prince of Persia movie is that guess who wrote the story for it?
Who, James
Did you
Gunn?
just say it?
No. You just mentioned with the screenplay writers. Guess who wrote the story that the script was based on?
I have no idea.
Jordan Mechner himself, the guy who created Prince of Persia.
I don't understand because he was responsible for the original trilogy and this game, and I think also too.
So, is this just a thing with...
Remember, Tia, we had examples like Wing Commander and Final Fantasy The Spirits Within. Just because the creator's actually involved isn't a guarantee it will turn out good, unfortunately.
Is this going to be a thing with Ubisoft where they do it especially bad despite being creators?
Well, Joe, but
I said especially bad because okay, look.
Mechna, Ubisoft didn't really have as much involvement in Prince of Persia as they did Assassin's Creed.
It's kind of
I wasn't talking about Ubisoft specifically, but I was saying, is this going to be like an Ubisoft thing with stuff of theirs where despite having the creators be involved, it somehow turns out even worse than a normal video game adaptation?
it can happen,
Yeah.
especially because a lot of times, like for example, when George Lucas stopped being the head of Star Wars, the Star Wars movies got better. That's because sometimes creators lose sight of what made their franchise great to begin with. And
There's also that case where
they're
sometimes
so stuck in their ways that they don't even try to listen to people and feedback and stuff like that.
there's also the matter where sometimes creators, when they have complete control over something, sometimes they don't realize that their original visions, while good in concept, still lack that editorial stuff. I mean, okay, we have to remember, despite a lot of the meddling that we get from editors, which is more often than not bad than good, we have to remember that editors are there for a reason that is meant to be just.
Exactly. That's the main reason. That's one of the big problems I've always been saying is the big problem with Makoto Shinkai in terms of why his filmmaking is so inconsistent in terms of quality. Like, he's an incredibly talented filmmaker, but he needs. The problem I think is that he has his own studio, so obviously he's the head of it, and he has basically no one telling him that maybe he should not do something. Like as a result, no one's no, he can't see the forest for the trees. Basically,
Maybe he had that. Maybe he had that advice and stuff for his most recent film.
Yeah, that
I have
doesn't.
seen his most recent. I've seen his most recent one, Your Name. It's a great movie. However, I do think it did miss its mark in being the masterpiece that everybody else is saying it is. But
Pedro, don't you mean your name full stop? Because you have to got the full stop in the title.
all right.
That's what I'm gonna call it. Your name full stop. Hey, they put it in the title. I'm gonna call it that.
No, I don't think it's the masterpiece that everybody else says it is, but I will agree it's definitely his best since 5 centimeters per second. It's his first great movie since that. Like,
Well, wasn't there also that other great movie that was 2 hours long of his that we have yet to commentate on?
You mean Children of Just Lost Voices? It's a pretty good movie, but it's a bit too
Padded out.
Okay, not padded out. It's just that it's so blatantly Studio Ghibli homage to the point where it blatantly reuses a lot of typical Miyazaki stuff. Like it's basically his love letter to Hayao Miyazaki. The problem is that he indulges a bit too much in it and basically creates something that's a bit uncreative in sorts. Like it feels much more like a Miyazaki movie than a Makoto Shinkai movie. And the problem is that while it is a decent Miyazaki movie on its own right, the problem is that this is not the reason why people like you to begin with, Shinkai. The people like you because you're Makoto Shinkai, not because you're Miyazaki. Try to make a great movie with your own style.
I guess it depends. I mean, well, does his style sort of clash with the Miyazaki style? Because like,
that's the thing. No, that's the thing, Jova. You'd see no trace of his actual style.
Okay.
For example, there's no romance of any kind.
All right. Then in that case, aside from the fact that it doesn't really show his style, would you say that the movie in and of itself was still
the movie itself is good, don't get me wrong, it's just that it's the kind of thing where
my guess is that he was trying to
it's the same reason why it's like if you got an Elvis impersonator to play Elvis. I mean, it doesn't feel like a real movie, it feels like an impersonation forgery.
I guess to be fair, in Shinkai's case, maybe that was the intent. Like, maybe he's trying to break off into a completely different formula of doing stuff so that he's not, just a one-trick pony.
Right after that, he went for Garden of Words, which was basically, which like you yourself said like we said ourselves in our commentary, it basically feels like a parody of 5 centimeters per second.
Well, I wouldn't say that he was trying. Well, I wouldn't say that he was trying to get away from it. What I'm saying is, like, he was trying to add more to his resume in the different styles he could. Also, she's pretty good at slipping through there.
I think, honestly, in terms of breaking off from his usual, but at the same time retaining his unique traits, I think Your Name is the movie that actually did that. If you ask me, Your Name does do quite a lot of different things for him, but at the same time retains the romantic and youth-driven stuff that these movies are always full of.
Even the title's a bit. Even the title sounds weird if you say it out of context.
Trust me, dude. When you see the movie, you'll know exactly why it's called that.
I mean, that could be like, that could be like me saying, "Oh, by the way, I went to see Your Name," and then the page are like, "Sweet, wait, you went to see a film named after me?" And I said, "No, Your Name." You saw a film called Pager? I never heard of that one. No, Your Name. That's the name of the movie.
But yeah, anyway,
Also
going.
said this about the thing about Your Name is, it has an amazingly creative setup. Get this, Teo. Get this, Teo. Basically, Teo, the concept for Your Name is this: there's a girl from the country, from lives like in the Japanese country, in a remote village where they all do all the traditional stuff, and there's a boy who lives in Tokyo. So obviously the boy as a city a boy, and the girl is a country girl, and they both of them ate their own lives. And they keep cursing their own stuff, like the girl wishes she could live in the city where things must be so much better and shit like that, and the boy is the reverse. And eventually, because of a reason that will eventually be explained in the climax of the movie, they get into a point where every time they go to sleep, they change body, they switch bodies, and you it's and you see like how interesting that could create a situation. Like, for example, the moment the boy wakes up in the girl's body, he immediately notices he has boobs. So obviously you get that kind of like, but it's an incredibly unique concept.
Freaky Friday?
Telling
no, aside from the body swapping, that sounds like
Freaky
a lot
Friday.
of 90s movies.
True,
Well,
but trust me,
It's like
Freaky Friday.
Yeah.
I know, but trust me, Theo, this is a really unique take on the Freaky Friday. And trust me, it's not just based on the body swapping. There's a supernatural element to it to mix things up.
Well, it sounds like there's definitely potential for comedy too.
Yeah, there's a lot of great funny moments in there. My only real problem is that I feel like the character development could have been even better. Like, it was good enough for me, but at the same time, the movie felt great just based on how unique it was and just based on how good the story was. But if Shinkai had taken the character development even further, it could have been an amazing movie. But as it stands,
it's not like you won't have enough time to do it. The film's nearly 2 hours.
that's the thing. That's the problem, Dwebs. I think the movie should have been at least 15 minutes longer.
Wow.
I think it's such an amazing concept, and it could have been. And there's most people out there will tell you that it's a masterpiece and it's his best movie yet. I still think 5 centimeters is better, but I can see why people will prefer this one. But this one just very, very nearly missed the mark for me in terms of being a masterpiece. But it almost got there. It just needed more character development for me.
I still can't believe that that's the same guy that actually made me and Dwib start to see the better side of romantic films without comedy in them.
And the romance in Your Name is really good. It's no 5 centimeters good, but it's good on its own merits.
I would have gone to seeing the film myself in cinemas because it did get a UK film, limited UK film release.
You should have. It's really good. It's worth it.
Unfortunately, I had to. They're a bit too far away. I mean, I would have had to have gone on the train to, Birmingham or somewhere, and they're on like 7:30 in the evening, and that's a bit late for me.
I'm really glad he came back with something good on his own style again after Garden of Words, because goddamn, that movie fucking sucked balls.
Yeah. That reminds me, we should probably start uploading our commentaries of his movies.
Trust me, Theo, you said in our commentary Garden of Words, Theo, that even though you admit that the story was bad, you were kind of a sucker for how beautiful the animation was.
Yeah,
Trust me, watch.
That's why I don't think I can watch the other movies. I fear that the animation quality may poison my judgment too much.
Oh, come on, Theo. That's okay.
Theo, Theo, look, watch 5 centimeters per second. It's everything Garden of Words wished it could be. 5 centimeters per second is an animated masterpiece as far as I'm concerned.
Also,
like, it's the best romance movie I've ever seen. I'm not even kidding when I say that.
Also, Tio, well, to be fair, even you acknowledged that while the animation was great, everything else was crap, so I wouldn't worry about that with you participating in commentaries of it. I mean, heck, believe it or not, Tio, some movies are literally made for just the animation, like Book of Life. Now, I'm not gonna say that the story of the Book of Life sucks, but you can definitely tell that the main focus on that was getting the animation to its absolute pinnacle. In fact, they even admit in the behind-the-scenes stuff that, yes, they were literally focusing on getting it to be one of the few things that could look just as good, if not better, than the concept art.
One
Lord
thing,
knows they succeeded.
one thing that does bug me a bit though about Your Name is its release. It's its release on Blu-ray around here. I mean, it came out in the UK, both sub and dubbed, late last year, but we have to wait till like October this year to get it on Blu-ray, I think. It says October. I don't know why.
Like it's think of it like this. It's like me with Lightning Returns. Remember when we did our Lost playthrough? Like we kept everybody was you and even me was trying to talk about how much the ending sucked major dick. And throughout the entire thing, I was constantly saying, "But the music is so beautiful." It's one of those things where the music is so good, it deserves a better game. I'm guessing it's the same thing for you with that movie. Like the animation is so beautiful, it deserves a better story.
Well, in the case of, at least in the case of Lightning Returns, it's a simple solution. Just listen to the music on its own on like a YouTube video or the soundtrack or something.
Yeah.
Whereas with that bad Shinkai movie you mentioned,
Cardinal
it's
Words.
kind of hard to. You can't really do anything else because you're a bit distracted by the plot. I know I've brought this example up many times, but it's the only one I can think of.
I agree with you.
I was going to bring up another example. I know it's the only. I know I've said this example lots of times, but it's the only other one I can think of. It's like with it's like a GoldenEye. I like, I can appreciate everything that's going on in the movie, the plot and all that, but I can't. But the music sucks, and it's not like I can mute the music, otherwise I'd miss what they're saying.
Yeah.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, well, while music is nowhere near as big a deal breaker as, say, story, visuals, and whatnot, music still does play an important part of it.
Well, you can watch it mute.
But again, that's the thing. That's I kind of wish they re-released. That's the one thing I wish they did. I wish they either had a option where they have no soundtrack except for like the opening song, or they just rescored the whole movie. I mean, they rescored that tank chase scene because the score there was apparently so bad.
Wait, so is GoldenEye like a movie infamous for bad music or something?
Yeah, GoldenEye isn't one of my favorite Bond movies, but it's weak. It's Achilles.
Huh.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't really hear about that nowadays. I mean, like when the music's bursting to the point where they rescored. I mean, that's something I virtually almost never hear about in movies.
It's not like the whole movie was rescored, Jeff. The problem was that there was the tank chase scene, but the score they used for that was so bad. They had to get another guy in to redo that scene, which kind of leads me to wonder why he didn't just redo the whole movie score. But
what pretty tell what was bad about the music? Was it about it being unfitting, or did it just sound bad?
It's just badly composed music in general.
Yeah, which is odd because I've heard Eric Serra has done much better scores.
He has, yeah.
I guess Bond just wasn't. Fortunately, David Arnold did a much better. They took things back to listenable territory from Tomorrow Never Dies.
Anyway,
back to this. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's the game going on. Go ahead, too.
Anyway, this is the bathhouse. Now, first of all, we got introduced to a new enemy type, which was the guy with the change. I love to call him the BDSM guy. The gist of him is that when you use the jump attack, he will always parry the second attack, so you cannot put him down with that way. You need to go full frontal assault. The other thing is that as soon as we enter this room, we saw that there is a sword on top of the room. We need to reach it in order to get it, which is a special sword that will allow us to break weak walls, which will allow us to proceed. But we need to get out there. So the first thing we did was actually drain some of the water from the bathtubs. However, In the
I'll
next
stop the
part,
story
we'll
for
actually
years.
keep going up and actually getting the sword.
We got 10 seconds.
Another thing, Waves, hold on, let me finish. Well, to finish this is that in the meantime, they also mentioned, I forgot his name, but it was a Persian folklore hero, so we kind of had a shout out to that. Anyway, see you for the next part.
See ya, everybody.
All right, see ya.
So yeah.